Hey Trevor, how's it going, man? Welcome back to the podcast. How you been?
Oh man, sunshine and rainbows.
That's good. The weather looks nice on this side over here. There was a couple days of rain, and boy, we did get quite a bit of rain on this side over here. How about your side?
Yeah, we got a little bit of rain. In fact, we got some of the rain from your area. Thank you very much. But the sun's shining today and it's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm seeing a little bit of the sunshine, which is nice. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, what do you want to talk about today, man? What are your topics? What are you feeling?
Well,
Yep.
I think it would be a good idea to just go over this looming government shutdown that's going on. And yeah, at least just mention that because it's really interesting. And I guess if you don't mind, I'll just start by telling people what a government shutdown is, and then you could just sort of take the reins and tell us what you think about what's going on.
Sure.
So just typically, guys, and I'm just reading off, the computer here, and I'll put it up for people to see. There is it's just a shutdown occurs when Congress fails to pass appropriation bills, and appropriation bills are what funds the government and federal agencies and programs and services. And of course, there's hundreds of billions of dollars that goes into these bills. Um, a lot of times, people may get furloughed during this time. Federal workers that they may not get their checks. Into contractors that are. I think there's something 5 or so million, maybe even more contractors that work for the federal government. They're not getting their money. Military soldiers may not get their money. So there's a lot of question marks around who's going to get paid during the shutdown, and so it really tends to cause a lot of tension in Washington and around the country and around the world, because remember, we have a lot of federal employees across the world in the State Department, in the military, and in other agencies.
Okay, so I think that was a pretty interesting thing to learn about what the shutdown is all about. And now that we are going to, I think it's day 14, right? We're making our way to day 15 of the government shutdown. I know today the Senate failed to pass or advance their appropriations bill for the ninth time. So in a big picture, one thing that I notice, I see here that I'm concerned about, and thank you so much for giving us that background of what is a government shutdown does, right? Like, what is it really stopping, right? And it stops some things, obviously, from people from the government to get paid, and eventually it does affect all of us, right?
Hmm.
Um, and so, but one of the things that I've noticed is how many times the government shutdown has happened, and if you can Google that, how many times has it happened under the other administrations versus the Trump administration? And
Well, I
then,
have it here in the 2025 shutdown is the 11th shutdown in modern U.S. history and the third during a Trump presidency.
okay, so how many? So 11 shutdowns, and you're saying the third one?
And three of them are from Trump.
Okay, and the other ones were throughout history.
Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, and which one was the longest one?
I believe it was 32 days, I want to say. Yeah, I could look it up.
Okay, thank you though. Thank you. And I'm not trying to look at it as a statistic thing. It's just that I see a pattern over here of dysfunction, right? I'm also really surprised, when you go to the whitehouse.gov, what you see is basically a propaganda page that says the Democrats have shut down the government. And so for me, it kind of goes to the degradation of the standards that we had in the United States, right? And now everything is politics and just dirty tricks, and it's embarrassment. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the reality is the Senate majority is on the Republican side, not the Democrat side. And also the Congress slim majority or whatever you want to call it, it's also on the on the Republican side. And as far as I can see and we can understand, is simply because the big, whatever they want to call it, the big beautiful bill, or whatever you think you want to call it, the big beautiful bill, um, it's gonna let expire, right? This it's gonna let expire this subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, which is going to be affecting a lot of people because their insurances are gonna go up, and I can see that that's gonna be happening for whether private insurances or people that are using the ACA, their insurances are going to go up. So the stance that I'm seeing from the Democratic side is very simple. Don't that's not that shouldn't be happening. They should continue um uh, with uh with 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 these things to pass. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Um, and what I see here from the other side is from the Republican side is just basically propaganda, which you should help me disprove. But they basically what they're trying to say is that what the Democrats are trying to do is try to fund the immigrants to get social security, the medical benefits.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, Trevor, but while you're at it there, would you mind looking it up for me, and we can put it on the screen in a
Hmm.
minute?
You want me to look up the the funding and for illegal immigrants issue?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just saying that because you can look it up from the right from the right side perspective, from the right side of the media, that they're talking about that basically the Democrats are the ones that are causing this shutdown, which I don't really see how that works when the majority is on the Republicans, and if you're putting a bill that is just, which by the way, they need the 60 votes, which I understand, so they need 7 votes from the Democrats in order to pass this bill. But the thing that I noticed that is very important, and again, you guys can look up what this whole thing bill is about. But the Democrats are essentially saying we are not going to let the subsidies just expire because it's going to be really bad for a lot of people that have insurances, and it's going to be extremely expensive for a lot of people. This is not about the immigrants. This is about our health insurances for a lot of people in the United States throughout many states. Doesn't have to be a blue state. It has to be for all the states. And how much of a big deal this is? Even Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying it over and over again. She is the furthest I could ever think of a Democrat. And even her is saying it over and over again. This is not a good thing. Now, Mike Johnson had said, well, how about you guys just vote for this thing and then we negotiate it later? But that's exactly what happened the first time around in March. The first time around in March, when they put this bill that basically is just a tax credit for the billionaires, and it makes it permanent, by the way. Uh, the only reason why that bill passed is because they said, "Oh, well, as soon as you guys get it passed." Even Susan Collins was saying, "Well, I guess we can discuss these things later after we pass it," and that's the reason why they passed it in March with the Congress and Senate. Now here we are again, zero change to the bill. In fact, Mike Johnson actually brags about the fact that they made zero changes to the bill, and now they're saying, "Oh, the Democrats are the ones that are making this just to turn it into some immigration thing." So, on my side, what I find it is the bill is flawed. It's going to affect a lot of normal people in the middle people, just regular folk. And all it's doing is giving big tax cut, permanent tax cuts to the billionaires, which again it doesn't translate or more work, and definitely it's not going to help the economy for most of us when our insurances get far more expensive, and it's basically backed up far by the middle class and the people that is in the poor communities. I just don't understand why I'm not seeing from more support from the right side. But I can also see why a little bit when I go to the website from the White House and they're putting in here that the Democrats have shut down the government. And I'm not sure if you saw this, Trevor, but the Christy Noem was sending a message that they wanted to display on the airports that said that the TSA is having, problems, obviously, because they're not getting paid and they have delays on the airports, but it's caused by the Democrats. And that was, a clear violation of the Hatch Act. So several airports are actually not displaying that message. But it goes back to that just low punch politicking that I don't think we ever seen, and I'm surprised that a lot of people is accepting this thing. And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, first of all, I'd like to preface my comments by saying that I don't agree that we should be spending so much money anyway, regardless of what it's on. A lot of this money goes to the illegal immigration enforcement against, I guess, undocumented folks, and that's very expensive. It's a very expensive thing, and I don't think we should have ever gotten here. And so just preface my comments by saying, whatever party is responsible, or whatever individuals are responsible, hey, it's not good that we have to be spending this when we have $40 trillion in debt. And it really upsets me, and it upsets a lot of people. Being angry, is really a bipartisan feeling in the United States, isn't it? And I think that's just way too much money. Now, what I'll say though is, you know, in the Senate, that what I didn't realize until I looked it up is that I thought it was just you had to have 60 votes, and once you get 60 votes, it passes. Well, that's not the case. You have to get 60 votes, and then once it's 60 votes, then they won't debate on the bill anymore. It'll end the debate, and then they'll vote on it, and then they just need a simple majority. So the Republicans are saying that the Democrats are holding it up, which is technically true, but it's only true, and I think you commented on that, the history of it, what happened back in March, and they're really upset with the bill. There's a lot of money going to programs that the Democrats do not like. Or I'm not saying all Democrats, but as a general party consideration. For example, $170 billion in additional funding for immigration and border-related enforcement, plus military involvement at the border. It authorizes detention and deportation capacity. It codifies the Remain in Mexico policy. It institutes larger fees for people seeking asylum, a 1% excise tax on remittances, and then again the big one, which is certain federal benefits for non-citizens. Now, that one has become a controversial issue, and people will scream and holler about it, and I'm not saying they're not justified or they're being irrational, but when people hear things like, oh, the illegals or the undocumented folks, they're going to be getting all the health care, and there really is some nuance on that, and there is really a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people just don't understand about how this thing works. I've had people who say, I've worked in the benefit offices, and if you're an illegal alien, you can't get benefits. And while that's true, it's not that simple. What ends up happening is the undocumented individual, as long as they are living with like a host, the U.S. has to be a U.S. citizen to receive federal benefits. That U.S. citizen host can then claim members of their household. Now, if they don't ask for citizenship or documentation, social security numbers for household members, and so if you have, let's say, 6 people living in your household plus yourself, and you claim all 6 living in the household, well, that's roughly $250, a little bit less than that, but around $250 for every individual for food, and then there are other benefits too that go along with that. And so there is misinformation going around, and there's a lot of on both sides, on all sides, and but so for those reasons, you know, I hate to hold workers hostage. I think it's terrible. And looking into the history of this thing, these shutdowns started in the 1980s. But before that, they just didn't have this political gridlock to shut down the government. Or if the government was shut down, it was only for a matter of minutes or hours. And now it's for, I think you asked me which the longest one was. I believe it was under Bill Clinton, and it was I think 30 something days. I didn't get that. Maybe you have better information. Um, so, I guess just to wrap that up, I think that the government shutdown is not good. I don't like it. I think they need to stop it. I don't like to see this fighting. The justification for the fighting on both sides, I think, is horrendous. You mentioned that the Republicans control the House and the Senate and the presidency. And, our system works that this is the way it works. And the Republicans have the power now. And it was the Democrats 4 years before that. And so, you know, the Democrats, the Speaker of the House has the power to put bills on the floor. It's constitutional authority. And so he's practicing that authority. I don't see anything wrong with that. And it is what it is. They need to hurry up and work together and get that dang thing passed or make some amendments or whatever they need to do. It needs to stop. People need to get paid, bottom line.
Yeah, yeah. I think I agree with that sentiment. And with that, I add, then the logical step here is that the Republicans need to get on the table and start working on negotiations, not doing what they've been doing, which is basically following the lead of Trump of not wanting to do any negotiations and just try to blame it on the Democrats.
I agree. I
That's
agree
not
with
how it
that.
works. All
I agree
right.
with that.
Well, I think I want to leave it at that. Hopefully, we can put some information over here. That was excellent information about what's included in the bill. That was great, Trevor. I think we should definitely add that so everybody can read it, right? And gives us a little more
Absolutely.
information. And that's all we're trying to do: provide a little more information without all the politics involved. Uh,
Yep.
Thank you, Trevor, for your time. Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Ernesto.
And take care, buddy.
Thank you. You too. Bye, everybody.